So let's define what the brokest man is. So think about what broke to me is. Broke to me is you have a lot of debt, you can't make the payments, you're behind the eight ball, you're stressed out. Every decision you're making it from a place of panic, right? I'm about to introduce to you the brokest man in the world, and they're making desperate decisions. And when a man of the household keeps making desperate decisions, guess who gets the biggest price that they have to pay? The kids of that father that's making all these bad decisions financially, right? So before I introduce this man to you, to realize who this person, this irresponsible person is, if I give you value to this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it. America's in debt $31.5 trillion. Uncle Sam is the brokest man in the world. But here's the kicker. Do you know what is the biggest interest payment we ever paid in the history of America? Q4 of 2022. It was the first time ever where our interest payment was $213 billion. The quarter prior to that was the first time ever we paid above 180. 4 quarters in a row was the biggest interest payment we've ever paid in the history of America. But here's the problem with that. In 2020, the interest we were paying on our 29 trillion was 0.5%. In 2021 was 0.1%. In 2022, it was around 1.9%. In 2023, we're gonna be between 4.5% to 6% that we have to pay on our debt. This will be the first year in the history of America where America is going to be paying $1 trillion in interest on our loan, on our debt of $31.5 trillion. Here's a chart to look at, okay? Our debt to GDP ratio is the highest ever at 124%. America has never been here before. By the way, even after World War II, if you go to 1942 to around 1988, our debt, national debt, was around $4.5 trillion to around $6 trillion for 46 years. For 46 years. We kept it around the $4.5 to $6 trillion for 46 years. And then all of a sudden, America got into debt. Spent. And now these interest payments are going to go. So, we just did the whole Inflation Reductionary Act that we paid $1.7 trillion. Oh my God, that's so much money. Don't be surprised if 12 months from now, our interest is $1.5 trillion in 2023, the way they're raising rates. Number one country in the world with national debt is US with $31.5 trillion. Look what number 2 is. UK, 8.7. France, 7. Germany, 6.46. Japan, 4.36 trillion. China, 2.6. China's only in debt 2.6. Italy, 2.5. Spain, 2.26. Canada, 3.2. Australia, 1.83. US, $31 trillion at 124%. Okay, so what's the big deal with this, pal? Why are we talking about this? Here's why. You know how we always trash Venezuela for their high debt to GDP ratio, right? 350%. Oh my God, look at Venezuela, what they're doing. How much GDP they have versus how much, debt they have. Or we'll make fun of Greece because they're at 206%. As bad as Greece is and as terrible they are with their finances, we're at 124. It's not like we're way behind them at 30 or 40%. Norway's at 40%, okay? US is at 124 to 128%. We are doing a horrible job. So, for example, and this is not a Democrat or Republican, both sides want to spend money right now, okay? Back in the days, Reagan used to say to Republicans, every day is 4th of July, to Democrats, every day is April 15th. But today, both of them are spending money. This is not a left or right thing. Here's where I wouldn't be concerned if we have $31.5 trillion. Our GDP right now is roughly $25 trillion, right? If our debt is 31.5, but our GDP is 62 trillion, okay, it's fine. We're gonna be okay. It's like you're making $65,000 a year, but you have $31,000 of debt, okay? Today, we're making $100,000 a year, but we have $128,000 in debt. That's a lot of money. That's a real thing to be concerned about. We are the 12th highest country in the world of debt to GDP ratio. This is not a good leader's bulletin to be on. So my recommendation, which obviously I'm not in politics, but if I was looking at this and how this relates to how we are as individuals and companies, whether it's a company, whether it's an individual, or whether it's a country, pump the brakes on spending. Let's figure out ways to increase GDP, and then let's try to keep this thing flat and cut it down a little bit. And these interest rates can be scarier this year with interest rates as it climbs the way it does. And then if we increase this, and this is here, then let's invest. They're all talking about right now having to increase the debt limit so we don't default. Obviously, neither the left or the right's going to allow us to default. That's a political catastrophic event. If they do that, the market will tank 33% to 40%. If they do that, the world economy is going to take it. No one's going to allow America to get to that point. But just like individuals, just like countries, just like companies, we have to pump the brakes on spending and figure out a way through innovation to increase GDP, or else this debt payment this year that could be $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion is going to be a scary sight. And the brokest person, when you make payments and you're seeing your debt's not going down, that's what America's going through today. So if you got value from this video, I want you to watch this next video that I did on unemployment. If you've not seen this, click here to watch it. It's very, very interesting data. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.